All right, welcome back. We are
I'm Daniel.
here. I guess talking over my intro. Uh, I'm here with some of the captains from today's matches, and we're going to talk a little bit about how those matches went, and also how these very experienced players think about some of the balance changes that have been proposed for, for testing here. And I have MightyKeb from the Spuds of Glowwater, Daniel from the Fancy Cloud
I'm Daniel.
Dancers. I said Daniel slash Storm Riders, and also Fiasco Total from Glowwater Thralls slash Spuds of Glowwater. And Inkjet is here to be voyeuristic. She's just gonna watch us, I suppose.
She steals all
Well,
people.
I did play with Fancy Cloud Dancers, but I also work for Muse, so I'm here to ask my own questions and listen to your feedback and your conversation.
All right, so. All right, does anybody right off the bat just have some like burning comment, some burning thought they want to get out there? No,
The
okay.
7-shot Minotaur is annoying.
Was everybody using the 7-shot?
Yeah. I don't think I've seen a single V2.
Okay.
Yeah, because I wasn't able to tell really from spectator very well. Daniel, I noticed. In particular, let's talk about that Blackcliff match. We'll start there because that was both. You had Fiasco on the other side with his magnate with the Minotaur, and then you were flying the Goldfish with the Goldfish's increased mass. And this was one of the contentious points in the discussions that have been happening in the Discord, which was there was concern that the Minotaur was knocking around the Goldfish too much. So there was kind of a drag slash mass. A small rework onto the Goldfish to make it so it turned less, but the increase in mass also means it's heavier and it's better at ramming. So, like Daniel, did you feel like that was a substantial buff in that particular game that you were flying Goldfish?
Well, I did fly the Goldfish, and then afterwards I flew the Spire, which... How much mass does a Goldfish have now in DevUp? It's like
200.
200.
Yeah,
200 tons.
So I flew the Spire afterwards, and it felt almost no different, so the push was against the Minotaur. So the mass change, I don't know if it did anything to help the Minotaur Goldfish interactions. And there was also the argument of it bumps around on terrain very much. That hasn't changed at all either. Like a touch of terrain, I'm turning 45 degrees.
Oh yeah, there was definitely some moments there where you were totally locked against a mountain and unable to escape. Did you feel the ramming capability was increased significantly? There was a specific point where you hit the
Minotaur
galley.
kind of diminished the ramming.
Mm-hmm.
And that was on the other times I was very often on low hull health, so wasn't very happy to go full maximum speed, so just kind of bump ships around at best.
Fiasco, did you feel good about the Minotaur in those games?
Yeah, there's one time on the Blackcliff match where Daniel just killed me by ramming me. I think it was on the beginning of the match. I was like, I cannot do anything. The Goldfish was just hammering me down, and I felt like he destroyed my balloon and my hull and killed me with only ramming me. So yeah, I think the mass increase on the Goldfish is a bit better for the rams, but as you said, you can stick to the terrain a bit more. About the Minotaur, I played the Minotaur on the Magnate since almost I played the Magnate, and I feel it good for all its characteristics. Like you can break enemy hulls, you can push them, break their hawks, push them on the terrain. So I feel comfortable with the Minotaur.
You think it was good? It worked well against the Galleon as well.
Yeah. There was many times on the Blackcliff match again, where I was focusing the Galleon with the Artemis and focusing the Goldfish with the Minotaur, and just having the Minotaur shooting the Goldfish bring so much trouble to him, I think.
Now it seemed like earlier in the day, in the first couple games, We saw a couple Minotaurs on Galleons, which eventually got traded out just for the more standard Lumberjack Heavy Flak. How do you feel about that? Do you think it's just not worth the damage trade? With the Magnet, it's a little bit different because it's the solo single weapon and you can change sides more quickly. But on the Galleon, do you think it's just not worth the damage trade-off versus Lumberjack Heavy Flak? This question's for anyone.
I mean,
just on Puritan, you played, I believe it was on Puritan, you played the Galleon with the double Minotaur.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah, but the damage to the hull are insane. I was losing my hull every time, but I just feel like the flak was not really good timed. So basically, it's just a support weapon, and I think you have to pair it with another heavy gun. You cannot just run 2 Minotaur on the Galleon.
Okay, now Keb, do you have any thoughts on the Minotaur?
If you're gonna use it on Galleon, I think the only good option is watch it.
Okay.
That's about it. If you use it with Lumber, you're not gonna do anything at the range you're going to be playing in.
You could use like a Hades Minotaur Heavy Flak for a combo even quicker.
Yeah. I was thinking about it.
True, but I don't think that's consistent enough. Like even with
you do
you
armor
always-
damage more quickly, and otherwise you would have to manage to use the Hades, who also has to repair the armor and the balloon. If you're against another Galleon for Lumberjack and the Hades, then the mage is just not often, just rarely shooting.
I wouldn't know. I don't play with Mina that often. I've never particularly liked it.
It was just so slow and took so long to reload before. This wasn't a fun gun.
The Fiasco did say the armor damage was a lot. Compared to other guns, the Minotaur, like I flew a Gold Vision Spire against the Minotaur, it did take a while though for the damage to set in. It's definitely not a quick killer.
Yeah, I think it makes almost the same damage as an Hades, but it's easier to aim.
It also has a giant range. Like on cannons on the other side, you're still shooting me with the Minotaur. I'm like, stomp it, I'm a Spire.
It's still 1,800 meter range, isn't it? Something insane like that?
I don't know.
All right.
Well, the Wikipedia
so,
says 1,800 meter range. 1,800 meter range.
did anybody use incendiary ammo? I think I saw some heavy carronade shots at one point.
I used in the last match. I took Incend for both the heavy flak and the heavy carronade.
Mhm.
Mostly, I used standard in the flak, but yeah, I don't know how much effect it had on you being hit by either.
Okay, and so I guess the other change that people are probably most interested about the Hwacha. I know, Daniel, you made a request at the beginning of the stream that I try to get some close-up shots of Hwacha impacts, but it's kind of hard to get those as they're happening. But just I'll ask Daniel, ask you first. How did you feel about how much damage the Hwacha was doing, and how much on your side, and also how much damage you were taking? Did you think what effect do you think these nerfs have had on the power of that gun?
I wasn't really shot by Hwacha very often, unless I got killed by it, because I was just getting locked down. But I did notice from using the Hwacha on the Judgment, or when Spotting was getting shot by the Hwacha, at point blank range, it's really good. But when I used it on the Judgment against a Parmenian, I wasn't able to destroy his front guns at all, or some Hwachas against my Goldfish. All of the shots just went past my heavy gun. It just didn't affect me in the slightest. I feel like the jitter increase is too much coupled with the AoE reduction. And maybe the jitter should be brought back down if the AoE is reduced. Because it appears that without the AoE it just doesn't hit anything anymore.
A Fiasco, Keb?
I got to use the Hwacha on my Galleon pretty often, but I don't think it made a difference, because with Galleon you already have that I mean, it doesn't actually matter because you have 2 heavy guns.
Right.
It can sort of make up for any small deficiencies that the Watcher has. I didn't really feel much of a difference.
I guess it's hard to say because I don't think anybody flew Watchafish today, did they? Not in your guys' games.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so that's probably where the change is going to be most felt, I suppose.
I mean,
What about Strike?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Strike
yeah,
too.
Watcher Strike?
Yeah,
Strike is
I
similar
play-
to.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, okay. Thanks. The strike is has a similar engagement range to the goldfish because it doesn't have that many guns. It cannot really partake in the sniping meta, so it has to kind of brawl and use its speed. And I mean, in the Northern Fjords match, was it in the tournament or was it in the scrim before?
I think
Tournament.
it was Fiasco flying the Strike, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, he got in point blank range of the Guardian and he completely disabled it. I noticed in the kill feed that there wasn't really any component shooting back, and that would be the same with the goldfish. It would just get 2 seconds closer, and then you see how much. There's not much going to change for that ship, I don't think.
Yeah, basically when I use the Watcher, I try to be as close as possible. I think the change will be felt on mid to long range.
Okay. Okay, so if there's nothing else to say about the Hwacha, I guess that brings us to the Judgment, which we didn't see a whole lot of. I know Spud flew it on Dunes. Or no, who was it? It was no, sorry, is Richard flying it on Dunes?
Salts. Yeah.
And then Spud flew it in one game though, didn't he? Also.
I flew it in Waterhouse.
Yeah, I don't
I don't
think
think Spud
Spud ship
flew.
ever saw
Oh,
one.
okay.
They ever have.
What do you think of the Judgment, Daniel and Inkjet?
It has the same armor and toll as a Junker. So well, I think
And the same.
yeah, it's exactly the same. We took it like against Kev's team and Fiasco's team in the scrim we had before the tournament, and we're just grinding out each other. And I noticed that once our judgments touched the ground, we were just dying instantly because we didn't have any hold. We're giant ship we basically see it as a spiral magnet, but with the help of a chunk. And if we lose armor, we can't really do anything because it takes so long to rebuild the armor, and the Banshee will kill us before that.
I ran a Lumber Spire in the scrim against that Judgment, and
Yeah, you didn't need 2 flags, like fuck.
I have it like just in case, just as a backup measure. But sometimes, like I put my flank engineer on the bottom. Sometimes they would be too busy repairing, and I would just get on the top right flank, and that would just be enough to kill you anyway.
Yeah, against the Judgment. If you have a Lumberjack and the Hades against the Judgment, you will kill it.
Yeah,
You
that
don't
seems
need anything.
like one of its weaknesses. But I just like using double flank, as long as I get away with it. Like we don't actually run double flank; it's just an optional gun that I get on when the time is right. Like when you rush me with your Spire and Periton Scrim.
Are there any changes that you would suggest to try to make the Judgment a little bit better, like more health or what? Or is it just too convoluted to crew on? Well, those stupid engines spread out.
Yeah, the top engines are just why are they? I think you could remove the top engines entirely, and the ship would be relatively good
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
from
I mean,
the crewing standpoint alone. not
the
from
top
the engines,
engine, the top engines only have like 1,000 force or something. It's basically nothing right now.
I think it either needs a boost in maneuverability or armor. One of those two.
It needs
But I'm not sure
It needs
which.
to be able to survive at least one Banshee. The ship is huge.
Yeah, the ship is so huge. It's so vulnerable from
Huge.
its balloon, vulnerable on the side, on the rear. Basically, you only can shoot on front. For me, the Judgment for now is just a spire with a galleon maneuverability.
Okay.
That sounds real good. All right, so Any how do you think the event went? Was it fun? Testing new stuff?
It was less fun when the game ended with Minotaur just being super annoying the entire time for the last 2 matches that took as long as they could have.
Yeah, I
Should've
think
just,
we should have timing in future.
I'm not sure any of the matches really went that. Like I wasn't keeping time
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't.
super closely, but we'll see
Maybe
how
that's
long.
a different layer. It's different when a team has to be pushed into moving and or just we have infinite time. Let's just sit back and
Right.
repair constantly. It's
Okay.
a different.
Yeah, I probably
Yeah.
should try to.
It certainly felt long. I don't know how long they actually took, but it certainly felt, especially the last couple matches, felt very long.
My internal clock says something around 20 minutes, but not below 30 for the last match.
I think that also might have just been because playing so many matches in a row. Might have
Yeah,
also,
possibly.
Yeah. So I mean, I haven't decided if we're gonna run more of these events, but this one I definitely kind of want to run with a very pretty bare bones rules to see which ones we have to bring in, because it is a different type of event run on the dev app and different format and stuff. But yeah, time limits probably. If this event is running again, probably want to add time limits. Maybe lobby, loadout locks, that sort of thing. Lobby
I mean,
timers.
it kind of worked
Uh,
because one team dropped out at the end, so it was just a best of 5 between two
Yeah.
teams. But if there had been another team, they would have to wait a really long time potentially. And I mean, they'd staff had not more competitive like the SDS or an
Yeah.
actual tournament, so they probably wouldn't want to stick around for too long if they just have to wait like 20 minutes or 40 for a match time.
If I can just jump back to the judgment for a bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of you said either more armor or more mobility. When you say mobility, do you mean forward, back, or turning, or vertical, or everything?
Just general maneuverability stats. Maybe vertical, maybe horizontal.
Okay.
Like I'm not going into any specifics. I'm just trying to outline the general weaknesses.
Okay. Yeah, originally it did have entirely too much mobility, and we dialed it back considerably before this weekend.
Yeah, I remember the
So-
vertical stats on live while playing lines. I thought it was ridiculous.
Right, yeah, we dialed it back from that. It currently has, I think, the same vertical acceleration as a goldfish.
3.5.
Yeah, 3.5 meters per second squared.
Yeah. Is that horizontal or vertical?
Vertical.
Oh, alright.
And
It's really slow on turning and the horizontal
Okay.
acceleration.
Yeah, I
So
want to say that
yeah.
its turning is something like Amobula's, and its forward speed has fairly low acceleration, but I don't know, Galleon top speed.
I really enjoyed maneuvering around Judgment with the squid in our earlier matches against Salt. Because the sides are so wide, so it's easy to stay on them while circling around. So I'm not sure how I would feel if they were better able to keep up on that weapon.
Well, we can definitely go, somewhere between what it currently is and what we dialed it back from, what it is in production. Just put it somewhere in the middle and see how it feels there.
I could do it.
All right. Any last thoughts you guys want to get out before we shut this down?
Sure. I really like the idea. I think it was basically a way of testing the changes that was far more productive than any of the testing sessions in the past 6 months. Because they're being played by people who, actually used them.
And also probably a lot of AI is involved in those previous tests as well.
Well, even if there weren't AIs, some people just don't play it well enough to give a good representation of the changes. Like sometimes a gun is just nerfed enough, but the play is really bad, so they feel like they're being destroyed, so it gets dialed up.
Mm-hmm.
Or the opposite happens, they play something really good, but they're not good enough to abuse it too much.
Mm.
I just feel like it's really frustrating to play against the Death Minotaur. I mean, it was a 7-shot one. Maybe the 4-shot one is not as frustrating to play against because it's less consistent pushes, but like with the current live Minotaur, you can kind of counter the Minotaur force by using the pile to for 2 seconds or so, which works against only the 4 shots, but if you have it to do consistently, you will burn down the engine slowly. And with the 7-shot one, with the fire buff to the fire rate and it's just too fast for you to consistently do that and not destroy your engine consistently. I find it's too frustrating to play against. Damage-wise, it's okay, but it's just too annoying. It might get nerfed again, like the Minotaur was when it first came out.
Do you feel
How do
this?
you-
Sorry,
Oh.
go ahead. Well, do you feel the same way across all the ships you flew today, or primarily the Goldfish?
Well, it was a Goldfish and a Spiral. And it was brawling at long range, and it's just in both cases I felt like I cannot do anything against this gun.
Hmm.
The Lumberjack can at least see coming or Ryders. These guns
Yeah.
might actually give away the position. The Minotaur just
Yeah.
pushes you around stupidly, and after 5 minutes of you trying to repair your engine and turning it back into arc, you will actually lose armor and flags start hitting you. It's just-
The lack of projectile thing is really annoying. It's like you're trying to play competitive Guns of Icarus, but then your like brother comes along and starts shoving you aside. That's Minotaur. You don't see.
The Minotaur is the annoying brother.
Yes.
It's very annoying.
But its DPS seems good.
Yeah, definitely. I have
Okay.
no problem with the damage output, just too consistent, too strong pushes.
What about its arcs?
I think they're okay. Like, I don't remember having a big problem. They're very good.
Are they the same as in live?
No.
No. It's 40 up, 40 to each side, and 30 down.
But it says only for the 7-shot it's 30 down. For the 4-shot one, it's still 40 everything, according to the
Yes.
notes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anyone used to. Did anyone use the version 2, the 4-shot Minotaur?
I don't think so.
I think 40 in any vector for the 7-shot one is a bit ridiculous. Because it's so consistent, but the arc is so good at the same time.
Okay.
I only have the problem with the foes. Like, I can live if it did more shadow damage to my gun. I think we once had something like a Minotaur in maybe one of the scrims. We had a magnet, and yeah, in our scrim before the thing, we had a magnet on Paladin.
Yeah.
And they also, I think, had a magnet. I don't know, Minotaur was actually accidentally
No,
disabled.
I think
Gun or
in this scrim we had Spire Galleon and Spire. What was it? Fish?
no, you didn't have a galleon. Oh,
I said you had a Galleon and Spire, and we had Spire Fish on scrim. So you're probably talking about the.
I just
live
remember.
match.
I just know we had a Minotaur once, and we managed to destroy something like an Artemis.
Oh.
And
Mm.
or when playing against the Minotaur, it was kind of able to destroy our guns. But I'm okay with that because I'm kind of used to that with the Artemises around and such.
Right.
Just if it pushes me that consistently, I don't want to play against that gun.
I never got to ask your opinion on the new Burst Artemis.
What about it?
Yeah.
It's better than the extended magazine against heavy guns and engines if they are being repaired by a mallet. Otherwise, you can use the extended magazine and wreck everything. No problem.
Well, is extended magazine even good when you don't have the burst radius?
When you have what?
Is extended magazine even good if you don't have the burst radius?
I mean, theoretically, you can just deploy 6 guns in one clip.
You just have to get direct hits.
If you're good.
Mm-hmm.
It's the effective radius is significantly smaller, both
And
because
also
because it's smaller and because you don't have the extra damage on the AoE.
There's also another fun factor with if you destroy a gun, it only takes so long before it's rebuilt. And the thing is, really empty your clip before it's rebuilt. Because if yes, then it's gonna be rebuilt and shoot you back while your gun's reloading. And
Yeah.
it's the whole sub meta that if you want to get into it, you totally could actually.
I feel like Extended Magazine has been overtuned to its specialization. Like, we don't have... Like the main purpose of grease rounds is to provide the DPS, but it doesn't just make you shoot fast. It also gives you more clip. Or like heatsink used to give you more clip. It also helps you turn still. Like an ammo type doesn't have to do just one thing.
I mean, what do you need more shots in with greased? I think we're talking about the live game right now. It's not even that big anymore.
Yeah, live game, but these changes haven't been very discussed very well, I think.
Send
among
an
us.
email to feedback.
No, tell me right now.
Then
Send an email to inkjet@feedback.zone.
It's Jennifer@musegames.com.
quickly blend it in, so everyone can click on it.
You're welcome to email me if you prefer to email directly to me rather than to feedback. Even though it comes to the same inbox.
Alright. So I think that's probably going to be it for the community chat. Unless anyone has
wait. One last point. The goldfish changes.
Yeah?
Does anyone here think we need that for anything? Has anyone ever had...
No.
Like Fiasco, you have been known for Blenderfish piloting. Do you think it ever was too bouncy? It needed to be more stable?
You mean that to decrease the mass of the goldfish?
But the
Yeah,
angular
because
drag was increased too. The angular drag was increased.
The angular drag stops it from turning too much at once. Like it
That's the idea.
breaks it, drag breaks the ship movement, so you cannot go overly fast in direction.
Mm,
And it has increased mass now too. And
Yeah,
do you think it's necessary for the goldfish to have that, or do you think it was okay before that, so without that any problem of anything?
no. I thought the goldfish was pretty balanced before. Because it has a really good mobility, but it has a very low firepower. So I don't think the goldfish needed a change from before.
I'm especially concerned about the reasons for the change. Apparently, the main reason they were made is to counter the new Minotaur, but I think it's not wise to change a ship for a gun. For like in any
Otherwise, you would
any
change the
scenario.
style or the junker, or otherwise we would have to change every ship because every ship is vulnerable to a few sets of guns.
Yeah. If you change the goldfish just because of Minotaur, you're gonna change it against everything else. Like it's already working. Why do you do that? Maybe the problem is in the gun. Right?
I mean, the thing is, the goldfish did have a very low angular drag compared to all other ships, which is also tempting to harmonize it. But then I could give the same reason with, why don't we harmonize other speed values, like forward speed, backward speed? Like the magnet right now is probably the highest horizontal drag, because if you try to reach top speed and race against the junker, the magnet is just half as fast as the junker.
Yeah.
So if you would change the goldfish, you would have to apply the same concept for other ships if you want to harmonize the stats.
And you said that I think Daniel said that the changes to the goldfish didn't seem to actually
Against the Minotaur, no.
Yeah, it didn't seem to actually make it more stable, either versus the Minotaur or running into things. It didn't seem to actually do anything. Is that right?
I didn't notice any difference between flying the goldfish and the Spire. I don't know the Spire's angular drag, but I know the Spire has 150
fair.
tons, and the goldfish now has 200 tons, and I didn't notice anything.
Well, the tonnage increase wasn't to make it more stable. The angular drag was increased to make it more stable, and then the tonnage was increased because it was necessary to, after increasing its forces, to keep it at the same accelerations and top speeds. The angular drag was increased, and then we wanted to have it maintain the same
And this
top
is straight
speeds.
growth
And
to ramming.
yeah, the force was necessary to increase in order to keep everything else the same, while increasing angular drag.
Doesn't that make its momentum worse, actually? Like, wouldn't it need more force now to go backwards?
Well, it does have more
But-
force.
Well,
The forces of all of its engines were increased as well, and its balloon force, its lift force.
I can't really say anything because it's too subtle of a difference.
Okay.
That I haven't really flown
Well, if
Goldfish that actively, but I don't want the Goldfish to change. Because,
I
because I
think-
feel like it will get sluggish like the Power Meter, because the Power Meter was changed and they attempted to keep everything the same, and everyone was like, it's not the same. In
Yeah,
terms of
I
its
think-
force speed.
I think just I didn't notice a change is enough to say, well, this doesn't seem to do anything.
Well, if it doesn't do anything, do you want to put it
And
into
why
the
do
main
it?
game?
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
That doesn't mean you should amp it up, though. I mean, nobody had an issue with it before, so maybe the solution is to dial it back.
No, let's give the Goldfish Galleon mass like the Power Meter. Make it the ultimate ramming ship. Who needs a Power
Just
Meter?
give it Corsair mast.
Yeah, 500 tons. That's my take on. No one has anything to say about Incendiary.
don't
I
think
haven't
we should-
used enough.
We're using incendiary on the flamethrowers on the strike, or is it greased?
Was
No,
as
it
much.
will. No smoke. Huh?
Just plasma? Okay.
Yeah, the flamer has an inherently high chance of fire.
Right.
If
I
you
was
use
just curious
Incendiary, you
whether
just.
incendiary was being used since
handicapping
it has
yourself.
more chance now.
It's like using less smoke on the Minotaur. It already has 18 kills,
Mhm.
1800 meters range.
Mhm.
You don't need less smoke on it. It's like the redundancy.
I don't think the incent change is needed either. And nobody had an issue with it. It still had a good niche
Are
on
you
some
using
guns.
Mm.
What ammo would you give up for Incendiary right now? You wouldn't give up anything because it doesn't do well enough.
Yeah, it does.
Like, would you give up any of your ammo types for Incendiary?
Extended clip for one.
Well, you may need the extended clip for specific guns and you cannot give up Incendiary. But you don't need Incendiary on any gun. Like some
True.
guns profit from extended clip, some profit from Incendiary recharged. Nothing profits from Incendiary. Well, there's nothing like Cabinet and Galley
Do-
can set insane amount of fires, but
Do we
Why-
need to make
why
an
do you choose-
incendiary like a considerably powerful choice?
I mean the point of the accelerated fire stacks, the accelerated fires stat on Incendiary, is to make it do fire stacks on low clip guns. Like
Yeah,
on
it's
a Galley and a Cabinet it's really good, but on like a Lumberjack it doesn't do anything. And that's the accelerated
Yeah.
fires to give it the same amount of variability. If you want to
I
go
see.
for the extra pressure.
That makes sense. The projectile speed was also increased, right?
No.
Oh.
The only differences in this test are the addition of accelerated fires and
Fire chance.
it has plus 30. It has 35% chance of starting fires instead of 20 to 20%.
Yeah, I don't think I can say much on it.
Okay.
But what is the accelerate fires thing? 100 accelerate fires?
Yeah. So when a gun does 100 damage, this is base damage, including buffs, but anything that happens before the bullet is shot, but not including component multipliers. When it hits that threshold of 100, it adds one fire stack to what it starts if it procs. It doesn't add a second chance. So like example, like I don't know, on a Merc or something. If it does 100 damage and it procs, instead of having a 35% chance of one stack, it would have a 35% chance of two stacks. For every 100 points, it gets another stack of fire if it procs.
Okay.
Yeah, and if it's a gun that doesn't do 100 points of damage or whatever the accelerated fires is at, if it doesn't do that much on one shot, it has a rolling 10-second window, and if at any point it gets up to, it accumulates 100 damage, then that shot will have the extra stack added to its chance. So like, it'd be possible to fire an entire clip of Gatling and never actually get the proc on the shot that would have the extra stack. But you could also get it every time and start, I suppose, considerably more damage.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I was disappointed we didn't see any like mine squids or something that would like utilize the incendiary. That's about the only thing I think we're really
they
gonna see
have
it
like the Monster might have. Don't they have like a set fire stacks? Amount of fire stacks is a set that that might need to be changed if the accelerated fires is. Because one does, I have like those on normal 5 stacks of fire, and then with incendiary it does like 7 stacks of fire, and it's a lot for a shot, especially if you take the 4 shot have a flak.
With that said, though, you said that when I was firing incendiary flak at you, you didn't notice like more fires or anything. So.
Then if you use a Mercury, you only get 2 stacks of fire. It's kind of a fire stack difference because of the inherent fires it has.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So that's
okay. Richard is saying Merc should do 4 if it rolls successfully. It's not 2, but yeah, it's still
For
significantly
example,
less than the flak would.
I feel like the 2-shot type of flag and the Mercury, they're very similar. It's just the fire stack difference between the two is so insane that you cannot balance incendiary if you tried. Because one will set 10 stacks of fire and the other will set 5, and you can deal with 5, but you may not be able to deal with 10.
Right.
Just because of the default 5 stacks the flag has. Well, my launch might just overwhelm the entire ship because it hits so many components.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first test we did with accelerated fires, it was at 60, and mine launcher would stack like 15, 16 stacks on half the ship.
But if you remove the default 7 or 5 stacks of fire it has, then it seems more balanced.
Mm.
Might be worth a test.
Mm. That's fair. Or if not removing it, reducing it. Just 1 stack, 2 stacks.
I don't know. But it's up to testing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll write that down. Meeting the buffs heavy flak is good in my book. Anything
You're
else?
pretty good at the flag.
Yeah, any last thoughts before we close this out? We got Goldfish, we got Judgment, we got Incendiary buff, Watch and Nerf, and of course.
Yeah, I don't understand the difference between the Minotaur V1 and V2, because the V2 seems a lot weaker than the V1.
You empty your clip faster.
I was looking for the stats on the forum, and checked the stats of the V1 and V2, and just thought, wow, the V2 is so bad. Why I should take it? So I just took the V1. Basically, just have a better reload speed, I guess, and better arcs. But
Slightly, yeah.
Or you?
It does.
You're only planning to bring just rebalance the 1 Minotaur, right? The 2 separate ones are just for testing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
There are just 2 versions that we wanted to test at the same time, rather than doing it over 2 weeks. Put them both in.
Might be fun if the 7-stack Minotaur did the same. If the 4-shot Minotaur did the same damage as the 7 stacks, 7-shot one. But because it has 4 shots, it should maybe have the same force the 7-shot has in 4 shots. What I'm saying is reduce both free shots and keep the damage the same with the 7-shot. I don't know if I made it across.
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of hard to just compare them straight up because the 4-shot one also has 2 more projectiles per shot for it has 20 total, whereas the 7-shot has 3 per shot for a total of 21 per clip. So they have about the same total projectiles per clip. But the 4-shot one, I believe, has less force per shot or per pellet. Yeah, there's just a lot of stats to take in and try to compare there.
Yeah.
Because literally everything is being changed,
Yeah.
which makes it very easy to test.
But I think it's telling that no one brought the V2.
Well, I mean, it is when you're testing in like a competitive setting, people are of course going to try to bring the one that's better, right?
Yeah. Well, I
makes
mean,
sense.
that's the one.
And 7 shots of pushing.
Were they? I mean, were they
it's a lot of
designed?
pushing.
Were they the stats balanced out? Was the intention to try to have them different but at similar power level, or to have one stronger version? Because I mean, as it turns out, it seems like the V1 ended up being the stronger of the two. But was that the intention, or did you intend for them to be more just similar but a little different?
I believe the intention was for the 4-shot to be better at pushing with less damage, and the V1 worse at pushing with more damage.
It seemed pretty good at pushing.
Right, right.
I think it makes more sense for the one with more shots to be better at pushing. Anyways. Because, you're giving it more push per clip.
Yeah, you decrease the damage to increase the push. It's
Yeah, I believe they have different forces too. Yeah, V2 has 50%. V1, I believe, has 75% push force per pellet. And the first one the V1 has fewer pellet. But I think the V2, the 4-shot one, comes out with slightly more force per shot, but probably less overall.
So you mean that if you're using not greased, but AV rounds on the V2, you will have more push force? If more pellets
Over the
hit the enemy ship?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
I think so. It's not a huge difference per shot. It's only 50,000 newtons, which is not a lot.
Mm.
Only 50,000. Enough to break you apart against an object or something.
Maybe. I mean, it's because we're talking about like the ships have what's the normal? I think the Goldfish has like 360,000 newtons at full engine power of turning force. So it's like less than a fifth of that. It's just between you're talking a difference between 450,000 and 500,000 per shot.
Okay. So I think that's going to about wrap it up for the community chat. I think this has been a productive conversation and a productive testing session as well. MightyKeb, Daniel, Fiasco, and Inkjet as well. Thank you for playing in the event today. And
thank you for hosting.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you for setting this up, and thank you all for attending and participating and doing this call. It's all been really informative, and I hope we can do it again.
Yeah, and I'll try. The videos will be up on YouTube as well, just for reference. Yeah. So thanks everybody for watching, and we'll catch you some other time. Goodbye.
Yep. Thank you,
Bye.
Urs. Goodbye.
I'm Daniel.
Bye.
Bye.